Today is the first day of spring. It started yesterday, 12:57 p.m. And spring is the season of balance. It's not too cold and it's not too hot. Although the heating, the mass is still working today because still some of our staff think that the winter is not over yet. So spring is the season of balance, and the balance even in timing. 12 hours day and 12 hours night, what they call it equinox, vernal equinox. That it happens in the beginning of spring and the beginning of fall, 2 times each year. Also yesterday, and this season is called the International Day of Happiness. This happened in United Nations 2012 when they have session and they recognize one day, 20th of March, to be globally a day of happiness because the happiness is a global goal. Every human being likes to be happy. And they approve that universally this day be a reminder that happiness is a purpose for human life. And we can make this an everyday day of happiness with being more loving, more grateful, more kinder, showing appreciation, showing connection with our family and our community. We can bring more happiness to our life. You know that also today is the new year for many countries, at least 12 countries, including Islamic Republic of Iran. Today is the new year for them, that for 2 weeks is holiday and traveling and visitation and a big thing like the Christmas is there now. And it's a good choice because Christmas is really a time of cold and snow and it's hard to celebrate. But now in the first day of spring, and that's a new year, especially for the Persian-speaking countries, not only Iran, but Afghanistan, like in Kurdistan of Iraq, and many of those countries, today is the day. And if you go online, President Obama sent a message, a New Year, Iranian New Year, and there are so many positive points in his message that you can check online. Is this New Year only a national or also religious? We have so many ahadith in Ahlul Bayt. One of them from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, ما من نيروز إلا ونحن نتوقع فيه الفرج لأنه من أيامنا وأيام شيعتنا. That they recognize this New Year, the Nairuz, or Nowruz means a new day, to be a day of Ahlul Bayt and the day of Dhuhr al-Hujjah alayhi salam, that's especially Friday and new day of Nowruz. There is also a hadith from the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, he said, فَنَيْرَزُوا إِن قَدَرْتُمْ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ. Let every day be a Nairuz if you can. Every day be Eid, every day be a day of happiness. And then Imam Ali said, كُلُّ يَوْمٍ لَا يُعْصَى اللَّهُ فِيهِ فَهُوَ عِيد. Every day that Allah is not disobeyed, that is the day of Eid. Every day of obedience and submission to Allah is the day of Eid. So it is a custom that a new year and new day, people clean their houses and put their houses in order and remove the dust and dirt from their places. But let us also clean our hearts and our soul and put our spiritual system in order in such a day. The heart is the source of our soul, or the center of our soul. You know that the heart is mentioned in the Quran almost 130 times. And if you look at the word fu'ad in the Quran, and af'ida mentioned 16 times, if put it together almost 150 times, Allah in the Quran talks about heart. Is the heart in the Quran this organ, this pump on the left part of our body? Of course that this part is very important, because our life starts with heart and ends with heart. The moment that heart stops beating, the person is dead. And the first organ in the womb of the mom that starts the hayat is the heart. So heart is important. But when the Quran talks about heart, it is more than this organ, physical organ that pumps the blood towards our body. When Quran talks about heart, it talks about the center of our awareness, the center of our understanding, the center of our love, the center of our emotions and feelings. So heart here is the spiritual heart, not the physical one. When we say, Allahumma tahhir qalbi min al-nifaq, oh Allah, clean my heart from nifaq, it is more than this physical thing. I like to talk about this part, this word today, and for the next couple of days, a couple of khutbah, a couple of sermons, inshallah, a couple of weeks, that is very important. That 11 times in the Quran says, فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٍ. There are some people that there is disease in their hearts. And when you look at all of these 11 verses, فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٍ, you see that Allah is talking about munafiqeen. He's talking about hypocrites. So this marad here is maradun nifaq, the disease of hypocrisy. When Allah talks about the people of hypocrisy, the munafiqeen, talks about, punishment, talks about hell and, justice. But then he talks about munafiqeen, he says, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرَكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ وَلَنْ تَجِدْ لَهُمْ نَصِيرًا. There are different places in hell. But the place of munafiqeen is like in the depth of hell. That's what this verse says. That even worse than kuffar. If you open the Quran, chapter Al-Baqarah, the second chapter of the Quran, and start reading, you see there are 5 verses about muttaqeen. Who are the muttaqeen? The definition of muttaqeen, people of righteousness and piety, in the first 5 verses. And then there are 2 verses about kuffar, only 2 verses about infidels. And subhanallah, it continues from verse 8 to verse 20th. 12 verses about munafiqeen. Wow. What's the big deal here that kuffar only got 2 verses, 2 points about disbelievers, but then you see that 8 points, 8 verses describing those who من يقول آمنا بالله واليوم الآخر وما هم بمؤمنين. They claim that they are mu'min, but they are not. These are munafiqeen. And then we go through the verses, it says, لا يشعرون. They think that they are very smart, but لا يشعرون. لا يعلمون. They don't get it. في طغيانهم يعمهون. They are blind and rebel in the darkness of their blindness. يكذبون. They lie. المفسدون. They corrupt. ما كانوا مهتدين. They are not guided. لا يرجعون. They don't change. They don't turn. So this shows that in the Quran, this disease is very, very serious. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam said, بِئْسَ الْعَبْدَ عَبْدٌ يَكُونُ ذَا وَجْهَيْنِ وَذَا لِسَانَيْنِ. The worst people are the ones who have two faces and two tongues. من خالفت سريرته علانيته فهو منافق كائنا من كان. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that if somebody's position privately is different from his position, her position publicly, that is nifaq, that's hypocrisy. No matter how these people or this person feels. إني لا أتخوف على أمتي مؤمنا ولا مشركا ولكن أتخوف عليكم منافقا عالم اللسان يقول ما تعرفون ويعمل ما تنكرون. The Prophet said, I'm not worried about the faithful because their faith protects them. I'm not worried about disbelievers because everybody knows they are disbelievers. Nobody is going to be fooled by them. But I'm worried about my ummah, about the munafiqs, the hypocrites, because they say something, sometimes say something else different in different situations, or they say something and they do something else. So brothers and sisters, as we are starting this new day and new spring, it's a good time to keep praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma, oh Allah, help me. Tahhir qalbi min an-nifaq. I don't want this disease in my heart. You know, sometimes you are surprised that you see somebody speaks in one gathering. These people, they like Hizb, for example, in Lebanon. Talk about it, Nasrullah for eternity. The same person, if goes to another gathering, that they are like in, you know, some people are opposition in Syria, for example. You start totally different statement. And I have seen this because, you know, I've seen lots of people, whether politicians or religious leaders or ordinary people. And it really bothers that how can sometimes some people do such a thing? Sometimes I refer to myself and to see how much munafiq I am. And honestly, I try my best. I try my best to fight this disease. Oh Allah, please help me. And one blessing is that I cannot even be a munafiq, because you know, to be a munafiq is still that is an expert. It's not like everybody can be like a munafiq, except those who are very cheap munafiq. That's different thing. But to be a munafiq in this sense, it looks like the expertise that some people, they know how to do it. I mean, they say it perfectly. I can't say it. If I want to say something that's not in my heart, everybody can recognize that's not my heart. This was sometime my friends, they said that we know that you try to say what is right, even if it's not popular. And that has been hurting me in my life, in my situation, sometimes to say things because you believe that's true and that's honest position, and you know that people don't like it, but still you say it because you feel that this is the right thing to say. And that hurts you because then you deal with people with different mentalities, sometimes ignorance, something culture, something else, and that causes a problem. So we are going to continue about this, and let us all of us work together individually. Everybody knows himself, whether it's honest and truthful and sincere or not. And if we are not, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to be munafiq. Why there is a need for somebody to be munafiq to begin with? And especially in this country, especially in our community. Nobody is dying of hunger and homelessness. I mean, there are some. But I'm saying that those who try hypocrisy, they are not hungry, they are not homeless. So there is no need to be hypocrite. Be just honest and truthful. And nothing is going to happen. Things are going to be all right and everybody is going to survive with honesty and truthfulness. You look at other Quranic chapters. There is one chapter about Kafirun. Surah Al-Kafirun, right? And there is another chapter, Surah Al-Munafiqun. It's amazing that Surah Al-Kafirun is only 2 lines. Very short chapter, 2 lines. But when you look at Surah Al-Munafiqun, the chapter of hypocrite is more than 20 lines, 10 times bigger in size than Surah Al-Kafirun. This is how dangerous this disease is, that Allah uses any opportunity. Because Allah knows that this disease exists in human community. From day number 1 till now, till ever. But we have to fight. Just because it does exist doesn't mean it's a good thing. Because sometimes, oh, it's a genetic, somebody has, okay. Even if something genetic, still you can resist, still you can fight it. Doesn't mean that you have to submit. There are so many things in Ramadan. It's genetic to eat and drink, but we can fast. It's not a big deal. There are some ulama, some mufassirin, especially from the Sunni scholars, they are saying that the verses related to munafiqeen are revealed in Medina. That means in Mecca there were no hypocrites. The hypocrites, they were in Medina. Because in Mecca, everybody under persecution and punishment, you cannot be munafiq and also be persecuted. But in reality, in Medina, obviously, there is more hypocrisy in Medina, but also in Mecca there was. I mean, less, but still exists. And for that reason, we see Surah Al-Ankabut, for example. Surah Al-Ankabut, the spider, this chapter was revealed in Mecca. Nobody says that Surah Al-Ankabut was revealed in Medina. But there are some verses in Surah Al-Ankabut talking about munafiqeen. If they did not exist in Mecca, why the Quran talk about them? They exist. In any time, in any place, in any community, in any tradition and culture, there are people who practice hypocrisy. Yes, among politicians, Israel is the hypocrisy number 1 in the world. We know that. You listen to what Moshe Ya'alon, this is Wazir al-Difa, defense minister, was just talking a couple of days ago. And it's interesting that even this title is a hypocritical title, because defense minister is somebody who defends. But that's not true. He's not the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Death and Destruction. So that is, the word by itself is hypocrisy. And it says, yeah, the only way to Iran is war. It's talking about that because, you know, if there is no Iran or Lebanon, then people start talking about occupation and settlement and they direct. So to escape from criticism, so they want to create problems somewhere else, then people forget about them. And he badly insulted President Obama and his administration. He said, yeah, you guys supposed to lead the war against Iran, and now you are sitting there and having negotiation with them? Don't you know that if it comes to negotiation, Iranians are smarter than you? And you are fooled with the smile of President Rouhani? So they smile and they are smart and they can fool you in negotiation. So this is insulting. He is saying that you have no brain. You are just good for fighting, so you have to fight. Because if you don't fight and you come to dialogue, you are going to be the loser. Well, Later on he apologized. Not the first time that hypocrites they talk and then apologize, still same the thing. But this is, in the political world, you see this hypocrisy. In the Muslim world, I mean that Saudi and Salafiyya is a big hypocrisy in the Muslim world. I'm not talking about the individual, I'm talking about the system. Somebody say, King Abdullah is not a bad guy. He says something good here, or Umara, not all of them corrupted. There are some Umara in Saudi. Maybe. But we are talking about the total system that's corrupt and hypocritic. Because it's based on this deviation and extremism of Salafi school of thought. That's extremism. And all you see in Syria, in Iraq, in Lebanon, it's a big time related to this hypocrisy that exists in this system in Saudi and some other, almost everywhere there is, but now the Salafi is representing now the biggest part of this extremism and this hypocrisy. So brothers and sisters, we, in this new year, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so Allah please help us to change our heart. It's a new weather, new water, new spring. The snow is going to be replaced with flowers. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, the weather is balanced. Everything getting in tawazun. Let us ask Allah to change our heart. And if you don't have a heart, ask Allah to give us a heart. Right? To bring love and understanding and spirit and passion to our heart. And to remove any disease, and especially the disease of nifaq and hypocrisy from our heart. We have great opportunity in this country. We don't need to be munafiq to survive. There's opportunity for everyone that use your mind and your energy and work, and you are successful. There is no need to be messy and going through all of this amrad and diseases. Especially for our youth. I received a letter from Mayor of Dearborn, and also signed by Mayor, and also with Ron Haddad, the head of police department, warning us about our youth and the amrad that exists in the area. He warned especially about larceny among the young adults, that they do something out of foolishness to gain something material, the act of stealing here and there, and they may end up not only to go to jail, but also to destroy their future, their job for future, their school, application for any position in the future. This is going to be a record in their file, stays in computer forever. And sometimes with little cheap, petty stuff, they destroy their future. They need education. And this education should come from the family. Because sometimes the family, out of violation of parental responsibility, might be responsible. The parents may go even to jail because of a teenager did something wrong. So we need to have understanding about this situation and work together and overcome this problem. We need to work together. We need to celebrate our unity and ta'awun ala al-birr wa taqwa, and do extra thing for educating ourselves and educating our community and educating our neighborhood and the society. Education is the key. I say this almost every time. Education is the key. And your brothers and sisters, if you are here today on Friday to do this prayer, and you are healthy, and you are okay, and you have time to come, say thank you, Allah. I just received a call before coming to Friday prayer. A friend of mine called He said, you remember once I was talking to you about, the challenges of business and all of this? Forget about that. I ask you to pray for that. That's not an issue for me anymore. I just realized that I have my son, he is 12 years old, and they found a tumor in his brain. And that is paralyzing this family. We are very, very worried. We need your prayer. A couple of days ago, I visited somebody in Oakwood Hospital, Brother Bilal Bazi, a young man, 20, 24, 25 maybe. When you see this young man, you think that he should be the last one that you ever think that he would be in this situation in the hospital, on the bed in the hospital. My goodness, a young, beautiful man, very successful. But all of a sudden something happened, some infection, and a little bit went through vein to his brain and caused stroke, and then something in his heart. And the body is totally paralyzed. Yes, we have to show appreciation for this situation. And then showing our appreciation, say, what can I do? Now that I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I have time, I have energy, I have my mind, I can do something, I can talk, I can walk, I can change. Let me do something. Can I do some volunteer works for this masjid, for my community, for the hospital, for the school, for the community in general? Take advantage of this opportunity. I was talking with our chairman, Hajj Dave Abdullah, and go to him or call him, or there is a list here in the office. Volunteers, come and put your name that, yes, I can volunteer 2 hours at least every week. That's not a big work. That's not like something impossible to do. Yes, I can spend 2 hours to help my mosque, or through mosque helping somebody else, doing some assignments, some social services through the House of Wisdom. And we are involved, brothers and sisters, with plenty of different services. Personal, family, social, court, community, immigration, conversion, marriage, divorce, financial problems. So many different things that they come to mosque and they ask for help. And one shaykh is not answer for all the problems in the world. Let us help each other and do these things together, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the beginning of this new spring to help us. And there is a dua for today, as a matter of fact, يَا مُقَلِّبَ الْقُلُوبِ وَالْأَبْصَارِ وَيَا مُدَبِّرَ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَيَا مُحَوِّلَ الْحَوْلِ وَالْأَحْوَالِ حَوِّلْ حَالَنَا إِلَى أَحْسَنِ الْحَالِ. O Allah, we know that you change hearts, you change souls. You are the one who changed the day and night, and you are the director of this universe. Oh Allah, you are the one who changed our spirits, our souls. We ask for change, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asr inna al-insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu as-salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr wa ila as-salati inna as-salata tanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.